The film opens in 1918, during the aftermath of World War I, portraying a battlefield where a German soldier named Thomas gets seriously injured after an artillery explosion. In a semi-conscious state from the blast, he experiences a strange vision of a girl urging him back to life. Presumed dead, he is thrown into a mass grave, but an older soldier notices Thomas still breathing among the corpses, so he pulls him out of the flooded trench. Fast forward 6 months, and we see a little girl named Anna wandering in a market. Thomas has now transformed into a unique photographer, and he offers grieving families the opportunity to create lasting memories of their deceased loved ones by composing family photos where the living and the dead pose together. Thomas is visited by Anna, who informs him about the presence of the deceased in her village and invites him to come. She inquires whether he can also capture ghosts. Just then a shadow passes by and exits the tent, prompting Anna to leave, mentioning that they are waiting, and Thomas realizes that Anna resembles the girl he saw in his vision. Thomas seeks out Anna, and in the meantime, we witness some of Anna's villagers gathered outside Thomas's tent. Upon his return, Thomas asks them if he can help them. Later, he tells the old man that he is going to the village because of that girl, and it was her he saw. While en route to the village, Imre informs Thomas that if the ground hadn't been frozen, they would have buried the corpses much earlier. Later, upon reaching the village, Thomas observes a boy wearing a mask, and many dead bodies lying in a barn. After disembarking from the cart, everyone disperses to their homes, leaving Thomas alone. Anna approaches her aunt, confined to a wheelchair, and Thomas notices people peering out from their homes, clandestinely observing him. We then see his suitcase sinking into the ground, and only then a dog begins barking at him. Thomas gets a little scared of it, but then a man drives the dog away and asks him to come with him. On the way, he again notices 2 men with masks on their heads, and the men tell him that there will be a room at Marx's. Afterward, Thomas observes a dog engaging in playful antics with an unseen presence. Later that night, Thomas wakes up hearing some strange noises. He gets up to close the window, but only then the door to his room inexplicably swings open. He approaches that side but doesn't see anyone there, so he closes the door and goes back to his bed, but gets startled by the sound of someone screaming. Thomas cautiously steps outside, clutching a lantern, to investigate the source of the disturbance, and again hears a scream from behind a door. He enters the door only to discover Marxa peacefully sleeping in her room. Suddenly, he hears footsteps on the roof, instilling fear in him. As he proceeds, he notices a staircase leading to the attic. Despite his apprehension, he decides to ascend and inspect, but there his lamp goes off. Thomas comes down and lights the lamp again and goes back to the attic to investigate, but he finds no one there. However, he sees that the ladder is now lying on the side, and as he jumps down from there, the door slams shut. Thomas then returns to his bed and attempts to find sleep. However, a shadow appears and looms over him as he sleeps. The following morning, Thomas mentions the disturbances he heard during the night. Marxa inquires if he is afraid of the dark, to which he questions whether there is anything to fear. Later, Imre takes Thomas to his dead sister's house, so that he can set up his photography studio there, and there also we see a presence. After Imre departs, Thomas starts arranging his studio, and in the process, he observes a cupboard opening on its own. Just then the door swings open, revealing a group of individuals carrying a lifeless body. They explain that it's from Imre, and additionally inform Thomas that they had brought Imre's sister the previous night. Following this, Thomas resumes his work and starts preparing a corpse for a photograph, but we see the corpse moving. After readjusting it, he proceeds to take the photo. Subsequently, he encounters another deceased individual that appears peculiar to him. Taking precautions, he covers the corpse's neck with a muffler and captures a photograph with his wife. One day, as Thomas is working on a corpse, Anna pays a visit to his studio. She shares that her aunt had mentioned she was born dead. Her umbilical cord had strangled her, and her aunt revived her through vigorous rubbing. Just then, the corpse in the background rises and then falls back. Anna asks what was that, to which Thomas says he doesn't know. Anna shifts her attention to a photo album, discussing ghosts, when a chilling sound interrupts them. Startled, Anna decides to leave, citing that she has to go. Anna comes out and encounters Lassika, a child donning a mask believed by his mother to offer protection from ghosts. Lassika removes his mask, and they engage in conversation. However, Lassika's mother arrives, puts the mask back on, and swiftly ushers him away from the scene. Thomas, who was watching all this, follows Anna to her residence. Intrigued, he attempts to peer inside through a window, where he witnesses Anna feeding her aunt, and to his surprise, the aunt gazes at Thomas in an eerie manner. Unsettled by the encounter, Thomas decides to leave. Later, when Thomas is developing photos in his lab, he gets startled to see a shadow figure in it. He develops all the photos and finds that the shadow figure is there in all of them. After this, he clicks Imre's sister's photo from different angles and starts checking by hand at the place where the shadow is visible in the photos. Suddenly, he hears a scream from outside, and when he rushes out, he finds that a house is on fire. The villagers forcefully enter the house and find smoke emanating from a fireplace. In a state of panic, they begin clearing the furniture from the area and pour water into the fireplace. Their terror intensifies as they uncover the charred legs of Clary's corpse in the fireplace. Thomas starts taking photographs of the disturbing scene, and a man, wielding an axe, breaks down a wall, revealing a horrifying visage of Clary from within, and the sight leaves everyone terrified and unsettled. Suddenly, water begins seeping through the walls, and the corpse collapses on its own, intensifying the eerie atmosphere. Later, Thomas discovers the shadowy figure present in them as well. Anna questions if they are in the pictures, and then declares that they are doing it. Thomas, attempting to communicate with the ghost, experiences his studio shaking violently, with objects falling in disarray. Terrified, Anna flees the scene, and Thomas quickly follows and attempts to soothe her fears. He says he will take her away from here, but she says they are everywhere and regrets for bringing him into the situation, claiming that now the entities are angry with them, and it's all their fault. Anna asserts that they have never harmed anyone previously and implores Thomas to leave. Thomas insists on taking her with him, but she says she belongs here, so only he can leave. Later, Thomas shares the photos with Marxa and inquires about their significance. At that moment, a chair nearby shifts on its own, prompting Thomas to question the unusual occurrence. Perplexed, he asks Marxa how long they have been there. Marxa reveals that many men from the village went to war, and the remaining residents succumbed to the Spanish flu. The frozen ground prevents them from burying the deceased, leaving the village in a haunting state. Thomas tells her that he is leaving tomorrow, to which she tells him that it would be better as things are getting worse because of him. Later that night, as Thomas attempts to sleep, he is abruptly startled when he starts levitating in the air. Terrified by this inexplicable event, he decides to leave the place. Now, as Thomas takes a break and reviews the photos, he is startled when he hears Anna calling his name. Thomas scans the surroundings and is bewildered to see Anna levitating in the air, followed by her screaming. However, it turns out to be a nightmare. Thomas makes his way back to the village, where Anna and Marxa express joy at his return. Anna guides Thomas to Aunt Illis, who recounts experiences of hearing footsteps on the roof, frequent sighs, and sensing an unusual coldness. She also mentions the strange incident of the ladder falling, despite it having been stable against a wall for a considerable time. Just then Aunt Karis comes there, and she tells them that once they were in her house at night, it grabbed her ankle with its ice-cold hand, and she felt only the bones. There was no flesh on it anymore. It came another time, and she spoke to it, but it didn't answer. She only smelled it, and the wall turned moldy by morning as if it had rotted, and then it never came again. Thomas asks her does she knows who it might have been, to which she says her husband and 2 brothers died at that time, and asks him does he think it was one of them. Illis says they'd never do anything like what they did to Clary, and asks Anna to take Thomas to see Emmy too. On their way to Emmy's house, they decide to stop by and explore Clary's house. Upon reaching her attic, they find no footprints. However, as they continue their investigation, they hear some sounds emanating from inside a wall. Upon closer inspection, they discover spots of blood on the wall, and suddenly the house shakes, prompting both of them to hastily leave the house. They proceed to visit Emmy, who recounts her past as a servant in the nearby city at the judge's house before the war. The judge's wife, a believer in ghosts, used to summon them, though Emmy and 2 other maids often laughed at her practices. However, when the judge fell seriously ill, they called a priest, and the woman successfully summoned spirits with her friends, pleading for her husband's life. Despite the apparent improvement, the ghosts lingered in the house. Thomas questions how she knows they stayed, to which she explains that they caused trouble, including pushing one of the maids down the stairs. Attempts to expel the spirits proved futile. They called the priest, burned sage in every room, and sprinkled holy water on the ashes. However, it wasn't until years later, upon the judge's death, that the ghosts finally departed. Emmy reveals that discussing such matters is frowned upon in the village, but she has been hearing their sighs for months. After this, both of them visit Jukka, who shares a haunting experience, recounting how her husband was seated in the same chair where Thomas is sitting now. She was in the cellar when a whistling sound filled the air, and her husband's head inexplicably sank into his body. She stood frozen in the doorway as he passed away, and water began to run down the walls. Thomas asks if he can look around, to which she says yes, and that she has to go to feed the animals anyway. Thomas and Anna venture into the cellar, and Thomas calls out, asking if anyone is present. Receiving no response, he asserts that there is nothing there, and as they begin ascending the stairs, an eerie shadow is observed crawling in the background. As Thomas comes out from the cellar, the door ominously shuts on its own, and an unseen force hinders Thomas, compelling him to sit on the chair against his will. Anna gets scared of all this, and we see that the shadow is slowly moving towards her, and then Anna begins levitating in the air. The scene undergoes a surreal transformation, replacing Anna and Thomas with Jukka and her husband Tibber, and it unfolds to reveal the circumstances surrounding Tibber's actual demise. They both then run out of the house, and Thomas asks Jukka where is her husband's body, and she tells him that it's in the barn. In the barn, Thomas and Anna confront the distressing sight of numerous deceased individuals. Anna discloses their identities, explaining that they are villagers who fell victim to the Spanish flu. Thomas, while examining the bodies, poses additional questions and captures a photograph of Anna. Upon inspecting Tibber's lifeless form, he observes common bruise marks on everyone's chest. Recognizing these as traces of blast force trauma, Thomas explains to Anna that it is not her fault, and that the ghosts are doing it. Thomas tells Anna that the ghosts can control the wind, and they move it like a blast force. They have to find out what they want, and he thinks they wanted to say something with that pushing and shoving at Jukka's house. Anna says they could have killed them like Tibber, to which Thomas says but they didn't, because they wanted to speak to them, and only they don't understand. He suggests that they will record it with the phonograph, and they will have photos of them, and hear their voices. Following the revelation, Thomas begins developing the photos. As the images take form, he discerns that the deceased are acting as a magnet for the ghosts, and in one of Anna's photos, numerous apparitions manifest behind her. Suddenly, the room starts trembling, causing both Thomas and Anna to experience fear, and the door swings open on its own. Thomas and Anna return to the barn with the devices. They devise a plan, attaching bells to strings and placing them strategically around the barn. People from the village join them, assisting in the effort by spreading wheat around the deceased. After this, they light all the torches outside, and Thomas explains to Anna that they will record voices on phonograph, and he explains to her how it works. The two then go to the church where Thomas sets up a pinhole camera and tells her that they have to come back for it before dawn. They then return to the barn, where Thomas shows Anna his war photo when he was almost dead. He says the old man said he pulled him from a crater. There was water everywhere, and he saw him among the other dead, and saw that he might still live. Anna says her aunt said the same, that she saw she might still live. Meanwhile, we see Lassika, who is walking from a neighboring house holding a rope and going towards his house. Suddenly, the rope starts trembling, and his mask is whisked away. Abruptly, darkness descends upon the entire village, and Thomas and Anna hear loud noises coming from the roof as if something is walking on the roof. Simultaneously, the bells inside the barn start ringing, indicating that the entities have already infiltrated the space. Outside, Lassika hears strange, scary voices, and suddenly, the rope he is holding breaks, instilling fear in him. Overwhelmed by the mysterious happenings, he starts running away from the source of the unsettling events. We then see him standing in an odd posture in front of his house. When his mother emerges, he gazes at her, but an unseen force yanks him away. His mother tries to save him, but someone grabs her leg, and that entity drags Lassika away and forcefully slams him against the door of Anna's house. Simultaneously, the entity shoves Anna onto a pile of dead bodies and causes Thomas to collapse and start dragging him. Abruptly, everything comes to a halt, and the torches spontaneously ignite. Thomas and Anna exit the barn, and upon inspecting its roof, find nothing unusual. Thomas instructs Anna to wait outside as he enters the barn to retrieve the camera. However, he is taken aback when he discovers that all the lifeless bodies, including Anna, have been arranged in various poses, creating a disturbing sight. Meanwhile, Anna stands alone outside, and we see a shadow on the roof of the barn. Inside, Thomas is startled as Anna suddenly gets up and attacks him. However, when the real Anna enters from outside, all the lifeless bodies inexplicably collapse. Anna says if he can hear them, speak to them, and ask them what they want, but Thomas says they are gone and asks her not to step on the prints. However, he gets stunned when Anna says there are no prints. The next day, Anna and Thomas listen to the recording from the previous night but don't find anything noteworthy, so Thomas decides to go to the studio to develop photos. Anna continues to listen to the recording, and she hears a voice saying, "Take us from here." She calls Thomas out, and he shows her the photos he just developed. In one of them, he finds that they are only around one of the two. Anna tells him that the boy got trapped under the ice at the lake nearby. He also shows her that photo from the pinhole camera and finds a black streak on the road. Now Anna plays the recording for Thomas, revealing that the ghost was asking Thomas to take him to the grave. Just then, there's a knock on the door, and the villagers gathered outside eager to know more. Anna explains that Thomas has taken photographs of the ghost and recorded their voices, and he will talk to them to find out what they want. Later, following the streak in the photo, they reaches Anna's house, where her aunt looks at them with very strange eyes. Thomas finds scratch marks and flesh blood on the door. He rotates the photo to see where the opposite side of the streak, and through it, he reaches a house. When he goes inside the house, there is water flowing from the walls and he sees 4 dead bodies sitting there on chairs, in which one body is of Lassica. Then some women from the villages come there, who start blaming Thomas for all this. After this, all the people run out and some invisible force starts pulling him around. People try to save him but the force drags him inside Anna's house and we see Anna's aunt getting possessed. And that entity begins slamming Rem on the roof and takes him inside it. Seeing this, everyone gets very scared and then strange incidents start happening in the entire village. Some people organize a rally seeking God's help in the midst of the trouble, but the ghosts become more agitated. It possesses a man, lifts him in the air, and ultimately causes his death. The ghosts then begin tossing other villagers here and there in the air, and we see Anna's aunt moving towards them. She gets up from her chair, and as Anna and Thomas approach her, she falls on Thomas and tells him to take him to the grave. Some people come and lift her and place her on a chair. Meanwhile, we see Lassica's dead body approaching them, and Thomas urges everyone to go inside the church. As they enter, the village descends into darkness, and Thomas observes Lassica there, who rises in the air, proclaiming that they will surrender the ghost, and then he falls down. Now everyone is terrified in the church and Thomas notices that Anna is missing. The door of the church opens, revealing Anna standing outside. People prevent Thomas from going out, but when he finally does, he discovers that Anna is nowhere to be found. He rushes to her house and finds Anna's aunt on a broken bed. Meanwhile, Marxa and others also come out to find Anna, and Thomas rushes to the barn, where he gets stunned seeing Anna levitating. Marxa then also comes there and Thomas tells her that they got Anna, and the ghost starts dragging Anna away. They try to stop her, and Marxa tells Thomas that Auntie is dying. Thomas tells Marxa that only Auntie will pull the ghost with them and take them into the afterlife. He explains that they need the dying, like he was, Anna, and the twin, and the judge too. He says they must gather all the corpses here, as the unburied dead attract the ghosts. Thomas comes to Anna's house with her to take care of her, while Marxa with others goes to get the dead bodies. After some time, the villagers reach Anna's house with the dead body, but now the ghosts start getting angry due to which the whole house starts shaking. Seeing this, everyone in the village gets scared and they see that the house is sinking into the ground. Thomas somehow manages to get Anna out of the house safely. However, before he could exit, the house collapses further. Meanwhile, a man from the village sets the house on fire and runs away. The walls of the house begin to crack, and it starts filling with water. Outside, dead bodies start rising, coming back to life, and some burning corpses run amok, setting fire to village houses. Here, Anna's aunt attacks Thomas and tries to drown him while the ghost says that he will take them across. After a while, Thomas begins to suffocate, loses consciousness, and appears in an unknown place. There he finds the dead bodies of all the villagers who were present in the barn, and meanwhile, Marxa jumps into the house to save Thomas. Here Thomas sees Anna's aunt who moves towards him but then disappears, and then the corpses of all the villagers come back to life. Marxa finally finds Thomas and she ties a rope around his leg and the twins start pulling him out, and on the other side, we see all the dead and ghosts following Thomas. Twins and Marxa finally manage to bring Thomas out of the house. In this moment, Thomas sees Anna levitating in the air. He approaches her and lies down, and Anna tries to bring Thomas back to his senses. Though all the villagers believe Thomas is dead, but in another dimension, Thomas hears Anna's voice and suddenly comes to his senses, and the ghosts also depart from their village. Now after a few days, Thomas prepares to leave the village with Anna, and both of them head back for Thomas's town. However, on the way, they see a dead cow and hear screaming from a nearby village. Thomas asks Anna if she has ever been to that village, to which she says not yet, and the movie ends here. Thanks for joining us on our horror movie recap adventure. If you enjoyed the chills, Subscribing would mean a lot. Drop a comment to share your thoughts and keep the terror alive. Stay spooky and see you soon.